All right, let's start off with a boring detail of visiting Japan that no one except me could possibly care about. Well, I guess first off I'll say, man, insane weather, so good. Yesterday it was still awesome. I think yesterday was kind of a perfect day. See last episode for details. But it was overcast the whole day, just gray the whole day, but it just did not matter. I mean, I find that that gets me down when it's super excessive. You know, there's times in Vancouver when you don't get to see the sun for like over 20 days of the month, and that gets to be a little much. Maybe Japan gets that way too, I don't know, I guess we'll see. But at this point in mid-November, it's just intermittent cloudiness. So today, I think it's 12 degrees out, Celsius. Extremely comfortable, beautiful clear skies. I didn't even bring my umbrella. I do have a little, there's the train. I do have a little teeny tiny raincoat tucked away, one of those little disposable raincoats that you fold down into a teeny little package, just in case, but I really don't think I got anything to worry about today. So yeah, weather-wise, holy geez, what a nice day. Blue skies, just a little bit of clouds here and there. Pretty white oil painting clouds. Very nice. I'm just walking along this, along the side of a field in Akiruno with greenhouses, and I don't even know what some of these vegetables are. It's like a shoot coming up from, looks kind of like aloe vera. I mean, maybe it is, I don't know how that works. I don't know how anything works. And there's flowers, just freaking nice. But I went to 7-Eleven to start my day off. My Suica card ran out of money. I always just pay for stuff with a Suica card so I don't have to get a bunch of change. And I knew it was getting low. I was going to refill it yesterday, but I couldn't find, there might be a refill machine at Akigawa Station, but it's like a very tiny little station, so maybe not. So part of my route today, I'm going to go loop around to see a castle and then go to Haijima Station and refill this here card. But while I was there, I wanted to grab some cough drops because so far I've been living a charmed life. I don't know how. I have not gotten sick at all. I've gotten a little tickle in the throat here and there. But even that was like in Montreal, not really anything in Japan. Been very lucky. But I like to have cough drops because I just find anytime I'm in a communal situation, mostly on subways around here, just if your throat does get agitated, I've got a suspicion, I think, because the Tobu line that goes from Ikebukuro to Naka Itabashi, that one train in specific always makes my throat act up. It did it 4 years ago, it does it now. It's like, what the heck? I think it might just be because instead of plastic seating, they have like nice little covers on the seats. They have them on a lot of trains. But I noticed on that train in specific, I think whatever cleaning regimen they're doing at the end of the day just isn't enough, because in the cracks, you know, at the edges of the seat, you can just see something, you know, it's just discolored. So I think it's just, you know, mustiness building up. It's a rare case of the process, the daily process, just not quite getting there. They need a little bit of a deeper cleaning, because there's definitely something in that train that makes me cough. It's like undeniable. So stuff like that, just a little cough drop. Just toss a little cough drop in your mouth, and it's just, I'm surprised how much in just day-to-day scenarios, how much I like having them around. So I bought like the big bag with like 30 cough drops. Actually, I bought 2 of those and combined them. I had a bag with 60 cough drops, and I finally used them all up. So now I've just got my fisherman's friend, and I want to save those for if I legitimately get sick, because those are the nuclear blast, super powered, you know, cough drops you can't get around here. But if we harken back to the very first episode of this podcast where I was telling the story of being sick in Japan, which I actually got sick in the Netherlands and just was sick when I arrived in Japan. and how they didn't have the black halls, they only had the blue halls. So again, just a tiny little pointless detail. Who the hell cares except me? But I saw the black halls today, and it's just like, sweet, you know? It's almost weird buying cough drops because it sort of insinuates that you're sick, and I'm not at all. I just want to have some tucked away. But I got the pack of black halls, and cough drops are distinctly different here. Halls are anyway. They taste like you're putting a piece of plastic in your mouth. They feel like they're not dissolving, but then they do dissolve. And anyway, I'm excited to try the black halls and see if they're as harsh as our black halls. You know, there's this lady, Gretchen Rubin, she wrote the book The Happiness Project, and I like her stuff a lot. And one of the things she brought up at some point was the idea that trying to be relatable isn't relatable, that it's one of these like weird counterintuitive things, but if you're just really idiosyncratic and you just present your situation and your experiences, even if they're not technically relatable to other people, you know, buying like the specifics of buying cough drops in Japan, or even the reason why I buy cough drops, why I like to have them. Who knows if anybody else does that or gives a shit. And you can multiply that one example out by dozens and dozens of just random stupid shit that I yammer about on this podcast. But I'm hopefully, her theory that presenting your idiosyncratic situation is ultimately more relatable, even though the specifics are not. I don't know, I hope that's true. I hope this presents the idea of, you know, the larger idea of what it's like for just some person to travel by themselves and just have their own little processes and their own little methods of how to make that work. Even if the specifics are basically irrelevant nonsense. So today, my plan is, my little adventure is from my Airbnb. I stayed at this same place in 2019 as I'm at now. It's the Legal Mind Taxi Building, just a few blocks east of Akigawa Station. I would stand on my balcony and look south and see across the Aki River this one specific road heading up into the mountains that just disappeared into the trees, but it was all lit and it just looked beautiful. And I would see it every night and just be like, I gotta go up there eventually. What the heck's up there? Until one night, it was like 11 o'clock at night, but it was the middle of summer at that point, so it was very warm still. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go. I went and got a strong zero and I went for a walk, which that's something I've done very little of on this trip. It's not like I drank a lot the first time, but whenever I get that feeling of like, all right, heading back for the evening, I'm just going to be hanging out at my little Airbnb for the night because it's dark as crap out. And whenever that impulse crosses me of like, I should just get something to drink, instead I just end up buying like yogurt drink or something. Because it's like fun in the moment. The moment of drinking is fun. But then an hour later, I'm going to be like trying to fight it off. I'm just going to be in the Airbnb like, oh, I wish I hadn't have drank that. You know? Drinking, man, it's just not fun. I mean, I guess that's a good thing too, right? Because this is the definition of drinking by yourself. I guess drinking with your friends, that's a different equation, you know? That's fun or not fun for different reasons. It's probably good that I don't think it's fun to just sit around and drink by myself. But yeah, that night I walked up into the mountains and basically just spent, 90 minutes going on a loop. It wasn't that big of a deal. Just came around to the west and back down to the Aki River Valley, where there's these big overpasses and all these trucks, and it's super cool, and crossed back over, and that was my random adventure for that night. But then I was looking at a Google map sometime during COVID while I was back home, just like, oh yeah, remember that little walk I did? Let's look at it on a map. And I saw on the map, Castle Ruins. Let me look up the name. Oh, it's noon. There's the noon jingle. Takiyama Castle Ruins, Takiyama. And I was like, oh, geez, that's probably not as close as I think it is. I always have a hard time gauging things on the map, but it looked like it wasn't that far from where I was, which that night would have made no sense. It was dark as heck. It was the middle of the night. But I put that on my docket of like, I should go back there. When I finally get to go back to Japan some beautiful day, that would be a good excuse to go do that little walk again. This story might sound familiar because I did do this walk just a few episodes ago, just the other day. I did it in reverse. I started over by the giant overpass and did the loop again, but also in the nighttime. So today, I'm gonna go do the walk in the daytime, although I've already gotten very off course. I'm still on the north side of the Aki River because through the twistiness of Japanese neighborhoods, I didn't see any good direct route down to the river, so now I'm just forcing it. I don't know where I am, but I'll get there eventually. It's a river, it's all right. I'll hit the river. But yeah, I'm gonna head up and see that castle because also, last episode, I tried to get to the Ajiro Castle Ruins and completely failed. And I looked those up a bit, and they are in fact on top of a mountain, way up on a mountain. And from what I could see, just from, again, it seems like a pretty obscure spot. There's only like 3 reviews on alltrails.com or whatever that all said it's pretty nice. But it seems that you're meant to approach from the other direction. I was kind of on the southeasterly side of it and trying to approach from there, where I think you're supposed to be north of the castle ruins and then walk south to get up there, I believe. But I guess this is a case of how I've been using maps a lot more this time because I have much better GPS on my phone, and overall there's no question this is better. I'm shocked when I think back to all the rambling I did in 2019, just roaming around. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I really had no idea where I was half the time. It's way better to have my little blue dot that tells me what's going on. But I guess the downside is stuff like this. You can't just see something on a map. Oh, castle ruins, sure. And just walk there. That's just not how things work. Maybe in general, but especially in Japan. You can't just point yourself in a direction and go. Everything is circuitous. I heard, I don't know if it's true, but it would make sense, I guess. I heard that the original layout of cities this way, I mean, it seems like it also could just be, just happenstance. Everybody just adds their piece to the city and it all flows together in this big tangle. I don't know how deliberate it is, but if it is deliberate, the thing I heard was that it was kind of to make it hard to get to, whatever the center of the city was, whatever the castle was, or wherever the emperor lived, or whoever's important, whatever was the important strategic part of the city that you didn't want people to capture, just make it really hard to get there. Make it so if you're not a local, you don't know how to get there, and it certainly is that way. Even just this very neighborhood I'm in, I just remember last time, trying to do, this the classic thing from last episode, shortcuts. Trying to do a shortcut never works. Always it's a dead end, or it twists you around somewhere you didn't expect. It's just like, wow. So that totally could be true, because it seems like it works. So yeah, I think the Ajiro Castle Ruins, that'd be another one of those things that if I were staying here for what I did in 2019, when Airbnbs were just cheaper, and I just got places for long stays. I stayed at very few places for very long times. So if I was just staying in this neighborhood, then I would add it to the docket and I would go. But since I only got a couple more days in this particular neighborhood, it's not high on my list. It's okay if I don't go to the Ajiro Castle Ruins. And this will be the stand-in castle. I'm still going to go see a castle, and this is the castle that, has been on my mind for the past few years. I also had this weird plan because I slipped in some mud yesterday and I was like, time to do laundry. But actually, it wasn't that bad. I just wiped off my jacket. I mean, my pants are getting pretty bad. They're getting a little dirty. But I'm just walking through the woods and going to ruins, and like it just doesn't matter. It's not like I'm going to work or something. But actually, I mean, I will need to do laundry pretty soon anyway, just because I'm going to run out of laundry. But it's not like I have to run right out and do it. But that was one of my ideas, is like, what if I double up these adventures? Are there any laundromats on the way to the castle ruins? That'd be weird, right? What if I made this a double adventure? I'll stop midway there and do laundry. But it just made no sense, because there's this, a laundromat a block and a half from my Airbnb in every direction. There's literally 4 of them right there. So why not just go do the laundry there and bring it back to the fucking Airbnb and then go off and adventure? It just would make no sense to carry my laundry 2 hours away. An interesting yet stupid plan. So I'm not going to do that. But all right, I'm at least at a major road. Let's take a little break while I figure out how to get to and cross the river. Oh man, this day is just getting nicer and nicer. I actually kind of wish I didn't bring my my weather-resistant jacket that I got in Montreal. It's a little bit too much for today, but everything is so variable, it's hard to tell. Better to be safe than sorry, but this thing is a little too much, I think. Because it just keeps getting clearer and warmer and sunnier and more gorgeous. So where I was walking by accident, I just happened to walk. It's the same place I went the first day I ever came to this neighborhood. Before I actually booked into my Airbnb, I came earlier just to scope it out, to know where I was going. And I walked along this ridge before things really dropped down to the valley of the river. And I was saying that's where I smelled cow manure that day. And I was like, wow, I'm sure. Don't feel like I'm in Tokyo anymore. I've never smelled the cow manure again. I think it's just whatever time of year that they're fertilizing stuff. But I was walking along there from the opposite direction this time. And yeah, just headed down a slope, and like it's just legit farms. It's just farms everywhere. It's so awesome. It's so pretty. And man, this is just my favorite neighborhood. Like, I don't know. Obviously there's a lot of places I have not explored yet in Tokyo, but I feel like this is very hard to beat, this Akiruno city, as far as a a city within the mega city of Tokyo. Because it's just so cool that if I had walked the other direction about the same distance, then I'd be in the big Aeon Mall with 2 different Starbucks, the 3-story mall with all the stuff in it. As far as like just wild swings between super duper mega developed every store you could ever want, Burger King and Starbucks, if you want to just like, I'm bailing out on all of this, I want to feel American. You could do that. And then if you want to just come to the farmland. It's kind of nice that I'm just doing audio and not video. I guess when people do video and do vlogs and stuff, you just get used to it. But it is a little weird because it's sort of invasive, right? Like there's a guy, I'm walking past a guy who's literally tilling the earth right now. He's got like a hoe, but it's like a pitchfork hoe. It's got 3 prongs like a pitchfork, but they're curved inward like a hoe, and he's just hoeing the land. He's just a farmer. He's farming right now. And I feel less awkward that I'm just describing a guy that I'm walking past. I'm not filming him, And I just went up a little walkway right to the river itself. Nice, and this is taking me to the bridge. And this bridge, what's this bridge called? This one is not scary. I was saying a lot of the other bridges further west on the Aki River are pretty frightening. They're really high up. This is the one where I was saying, like, how did I ever cross the river in 2019? I don't remember. And this is why I don't remember, because this one's not a big deal. It's a very not tall bridge, not enough to wig me out. Wow, it's so bright out, I can barely see my phone. Higashiakiru Bridge. Higashiakiru Bridge. Yeah, and that leads directly, exactly to the mythical street that curves up into the mountains. So I'm just going to walk up that till I get to the mythical Family Mart that I found at the top, where normally that's my cue to curve my way back down here. But today I'll be going a different way. Yeah, it's a little tough, I'm learning, with these castle ruins in particular. They obviously just have to pick a spot on the map to be like, boop, here it is. But obviously it's a whole area. It's bigger than that. And I've learned the hard way that if you approach incorrectly, you can forget about it. But it does literally seem like I just got to walk up to that Family Mart, hang a left, and that street should take me past a temple, and then sorta kinda nearish the castle ruins, close enough. Yeah, and this is a lot less stages than yesterday's adventure. Still early in the day. I feel like in this case, I can fail my approach a few times. If it doesn't work, I can take the long way around, try again. I should be able to make this particular castle ruins happen. Oh geez, and I just walked out from behind some shrubs, and here's another shrine. Saikoji Shrine. Saikoji. Literally, man, it's not even... I guess this is where not having a proper GPS system before didn't matter that much, because it is okay just to wander. Literally anywhere you go. Anywhere and everywhere you go, there's something cool and awesome. All right, I made it to the Family Mart, turned left. So far, everything's going fine. That was an extremely rare example of a washroom in Japan not being completely super duper. I mean, there's quite a few men's washrooms that smell like pee, and there's little signs like, hey guys, stand closer to the urinals, please. You're making everything smell like pee. But this one, I mean, very, very slight. You know, almost no smell at all, but a little something. Which is only even something notable at all because Japan's just not like that. I mean, Amsterdam, on the other hand, I became intimately acquainted with what human shit smells like when I was there. Because like you just, with the deep toilet bowls and the probably wasting of water we do in North America, your poop just doesn't have the opportunity to touch air that much. You know, just doesn't smell that bad. Where in Amsterdam, there's a lot of these weird shallow toilets. The shelf toilets are the worst, where it's literally like a flat shelf that you just poop on, and it's functionally the same as pooping out in the woods or something, except out in the woods, there's all kinds of open air around you to diffuse the situation. You're not just trapped inside a tiny little washroom. It's quite truly awful, and it made me think like, oh my God, like that's what's inside everybody all the time? That's how bad it really is? Oh, it's insane. And due to this horrifying cultural practice, which I think is largely attributed to the Germans, but from what I understand, I've never been to Germany, but from what I understand, that style of toilet is very rare now. It's the kind of thing that might be at your grandma's house in Germany. Whereas in the Netherlands, it's probably more rare than it used to be, but it's not nearly rare enough. It's still extremely common in my experience. And because of how it's set up like that, the smell just lingers, and it's very common for bathrooms to smell very bad. And every washroom has like a scrub brush, even in like McDonald's or something, because there's going to be poop stains on everything all the time. And you know the cartoon idea of a fly buzzing around poop? That really happens in the Netherlands. There really are just flies because everything smells like shit. It's fucking weird. I like a lot of things about the Netherlands. The whole vibe of the place is very pretty and nice. It's not directly on my docket, but I got to assume I'll go back sometime. Because there's a lot of positives, there's a lot of upsides. But it's so strange to have like, oh, here's the delicious black licorice. Here's the, you know, the chocolate sprinkles on toast. Here's the waffles, and even just like apple turnovers and stuff. They have this stuff that's just so delicious. And then alongside it is like, how about a little poop smell? How about that? How did I get onto all that? All right, I'm at a drink machine. I probably shouldn't get a coffee because there's not a ton of opportunities to drain the old urine around here. I was glad I found, for all my complaining, I'm glad I found that Family Mart in time. But fuck it. UCC Cafe Ole, 110 yen. Hook me up. I have noticed that there were a lot more 100 yen machines before. Oh, this one does have 100 yen, but it's black coffee. But yeah, the prices have all definitely gone up a little wee bit, which I don't really follow economic trends. All I know is that my money is going further. My Canadian dollar is going further than it used to around these parts. And apparently American money is amazing, but I mean, it's amazing everywhere. But I saw some machines in Sengenjaya with signs in them apologizing that they had to raise the price 10 or 20 yen. Because yeah, it just hits that point eventually. 100 is a nice number. It's a nice, easy, I'll just put in a coin. But I guess it just hits a point where it's like, we just can't anymore. We gotta make a little more on the margins here. Yeah, and stuff like that is neat to know. It's neat to be able to just get the gist of these signs. Even though at first I was like, wow, this thing with Google Translate where you hold up the camera and it translates, it's like magic. This is amazing. And then I've come to find that it's pretty spotty. It doesn't really work most of the time. But it's still something I would way rather have than not have. Because there's stuff like that, just random little signs. But also on the way up here, so that's one thing that's interesting. I've never taken this walk in the daytime, and it does feel a lot different. Where at nighttime, it's prettier. It's like beautiful, and you feel like you're more like a dream because it's more like conceptual. Everything's dark, but there's streetlights, and there's a lot of forest, but then city as well, and you're like winding up through the trees. It feels like a farther distance, and it's just more spooky and mysterious. You're just like swimming your way through weird darkness and, from landmark to landmark. Where in the daytime it feels much more like, it's just a place, just walk into a place. How at nighttime, I was shocked to see that Family Mart, because I felt like I was just, I was going up through a mountain pass into the woods, and it's like anything could be here. This feels so crazy, and then, it's just a new neighborhood with a Family Mart. So in the daytime, it just feels like that the whole time. It's still very nice, but it's much more normal. But I noticed on the way up, little paths where the road curves up the mountain. There were little footpaths that I never saw at night. One of them was just a little detour, quite overgrown, but the other one, it's just kind of weird that there were steps there at all to even start you off. Because you go up these steps and there's like a tiny little shrine. And then it really was just like walking through a gorge, way overgrown. And it's just like, this is not even a path. This is very, I don't know, I feel like I would normally never walk down this. It's only because the steps got me started. That it's like, well, let me try it a bit. And there was a big spider web I had to duck under with a Joro spider in it. And it does feel a lot better now that I know they're not dangerous. So it's just like, hey buddy, how you doing? Hello neighbor, you're good. You don't scare me anymore. But I got a little further and there was a sign where this is a great time to have Google Translate. Where again, it is a very unclear translation overall. But I got the gist of it, which was they have traps set up to try to trap wild boar. And it said the area can be dangerous, and it said don't stand around, basically. Don't stand here is what it said. But I think what it was meaning to imply is just don't go through here at all. That's certainly how I took it. And it's like, hey, you don't need to tell me twice. This path, I really feel like I shouldn't be on it anyway. Any mention of wild boars, I came into a bit of contact with some wild boars in Fukuoka, and they're not scary, they could fuck you up for sure. But that's interesting too. I didn't know there were boars on this island. It's one of those things like I would be interested to know, but I always just learn stuff inadvertently by wandering around. When it's time to look stuff up when I get back home and have internet, I always forget. I meant to look up about bears too. Hopefully I'll remember, but I'm always just doing something else and then it slips my mind. But yeah, even just to get the general gist of like, hey, boars. And I was kind of surprised because the area of greenery can't possibly be that big because I'm just back in the city. So I'm very surprised there were boars in there, and I kind of inferred if they're trying to catch them, maybe they don't want these wild boars either. Maybe it's not like, hey, just live and let live. Maybe it's like, hey, we're trying to catch these things and move them somewhere else because this is too close to town. And I guess in Fredericton, where I'm from, I mean, on the north side, there's like a park behind the superstore that's not extremely big. It's like a protected wetlands, but it's not that big, but I've seen deer in there several times. So I guess you don't need that much space to find some surprisingly wild animals in there. But yeah, my friend Ken, the Dixon Janes podcast, he came to Japan, I believe it was the 80s. He went to Africa first in the 70s, then Japan. So it might even have been the late 70s. But I think about that sometimes of like, man, that'd be a different world. I got my little GPS and I got my little Google Translate. And it's like, oh no, I can't find Wi-Fi. I have to wait for a couple hours. Like, again, I guess carrying on from what I said yesterday about just life being easy. It really is. This type of traveling would be, I mean, possibly more, like I bet he felt a lot more accomplished having pulled that off. It's a much wilder adventure, but I think it's too wild of an adventure for me. I just wouldn't have done it. Moving to Africa, then moving to Japan, and just winging it. Low level excitement is plenty enough for me. Man, I remember I was initially wondering, like, am I going to have enough stuff to say? Are some of these podcasts going to be really short? But just like every little thing makes me think of another thing I wanted to bring up or another thing, and then I don't quite get to the stuff I was going to bring up because something else happens, and I think there's no worries there. There just seems to be infinite rambling possible about walking around Japan. But this road is just slightly too busy. I'm trying to pause as cars go by so it's not too obnoxiously loud. But theoretically, I'm on the way to the castle, so let's pause till I get there. All right, sweet. I gotta be going the right way. I'm going through, it's like this cavernous path that's just surrounded by bamboo trees. Like to the point that they're like curved. Well, the bamboo doesn't curve. The other trees that are here kind of curve. So it feels like I'm going through a tunnel of trees. Even if this somehow is not the right way to go, this is worth it on its own. But man, this is a perfect example of how having the phone sure is a godsend, because this was just little green dots on the map. It's like, yeah, okay. Turn left at the Family Mart, past the 7-Eleven, past another Family Mart, and if you get to a Lawson's, you've gone too far. So I saw the Lawson's, because even though I saw this green dot on the map, I was ready for it. I walked right by. I would never have found this, because you have to go down just a normal street of a normal looking neighborhood for only like a block and a half. But it's enough to not notice from the main street. So yeah, even with the phone, I walked right by initially, and my old 2019 method of just literally wandering around and seeing what happened, I would never have found this. This would have been one of those cases where I would have looked it up later and been like, what? How did I walk past Castle Ruins? How is that possible? Man, so anyone who listened to last episode where I went to the Congo Falls, and I did not, it's the craziest thing, where I journeyed all day long. I got to these falls, and I just chalked it up to, I guess I just wasn't thinking in general. I chalked it up to maybe the time of year, but they were so small. Just a tiny little thing, and it did not occur to me that I had to go further. I mean, to give myself a little bit of credit, it's pretty weird. You gotta go into a cave that's been, I assume, hewn in the rock. If it was natural, that'd be pretty crazy, but you gotta go through this cave where there's a chain attached to the wall and climb up through the cave to get to the actual waterfall. I was just seeing like the little after waterfall, the final little few feet. But what I was thinking about that is like there's just no way to spin it, really. It's just dumb that I would see Congo Falls on a map and follow signs that were posted many kilometers away guiding me to this thing, and then down these really complex stairs. Like I just was not applying any, not enough thought to the situation. It's just so strange that I would just take it for granted that, oh, okay, I guess this waterfall just sucks. I guess. It's just so dumb. And what it made me think of is, because I think this often when I see other people doing dumb things. It's that idea that, a large percentage of the population are dumb. I mean, if you just want to go by averages, half of them are dumb, And that's like a weird term. It's all relative. I mean, what does dumb mean? You can get by in your life, you're still, the dumbest person in the world is massively intelligent. I guess what I mean when I say dumb is like when I see people being not quietly dumb. If you're just being dumb to yourself, I'm just going to be dumb over here in the corner, that's fine. It's when you're loud and obnoxious and you're bellowing your dumbness and you're insisting on something that is wrong. That's when I'm like, God, what a dummy. Shut the fuck up, idiot. That's when it's annoying, when people are dumb. And I always think in those cases that it's like, I know that person also thinks a lot of other people are dumb, Like that person also thinks like, yeah, I bet the average person is dumber than me. But they never apply it to themselves, Like if that many people are kind of dumb, what are the chances that you're not one of them? If you're just doing something obnoxious in the world and you're never considering that you're the dumb one, it's just funny. It's like we all think that a lot of people are dumb, but we never think it's us. But statistically, if half the people are kind of dumb, it's going to be you a lot, Hey, maybe not everybody thinks that. Maybe you're an angel, but can't get out of here. I know you think that. You think that. But anyway, in a case like this, it's just interesting that it can't be denied. It's like, wow, I'm fucking dumb. I'm just dumb. There is no other way to describe that. Who else would spend the whole day hiking to a waterfall and get 10 feet away from it and then not go to the waterfall to think they already got to the waterfall, except a dumb person? I don't know. It's just, to have such incontrovertible proof is interesting. And, it was like, you just got to roll with it. It's one of those things like if you think of a life where nothing went wrong, just someone who just succeeded at everything for their whole life and then passed away perfectly at an old age. It's very hard to imagine because it's impossible. It's not how anything works. You just got to take your dumb failures and apply them to the future. So that's how I'm looking at it, is it's the two upsides are, one, I'll go back there now for sure. I have to go back. I have to redeem myself. So it's a reason to go back to those waterfalls at some other time. Although apparently in the summer, it's got a lot of insects. The only bad reviews I saw were that there were enough insects in the summer that it was unpleasant. Where in the fall here, I didn't experience any at all. More and more, I'm definitely seeing that fall is the time, man. Fall is amazing in Japan. But the other one is, it's just a good wake-up call. It's like, dude, just apply a little more critical thinking to the situation you're in. Just a little more. I mean, maybe you could tie this into what I was just saying about, like, presuming other people are dumb and not thinking that it's you. In a way, I guess that's what I was doing. It's like, I don't know. I know there's hundreds of waterfalls in Japan, so maybe I was thinking that as well. Like, well, if there's over 100 waterfalls, or who knows how many waterfalls, maybe they count everything as a waterfall. But even just applying a cursory amount of logic to it, I walked way down these really treacherous steps for a long distance. I took these amazing pictures of this giant gorge I was in, this huge valley with these giant sides on either side, falling rock danger, looked so cool, looked amazing, felt like I was in Shadow of the Colossus, crazy shit. Where's the water coming from, if not from up there? It's like it is sticking in my mind a little bit of like, God damn, that was fucking stupid. What a stupid dick. And I mean, overall, for the overall shape of the day, I honestly don't care. I don't care. I mean, the journey of the day was so good. Trying to get to that other castle and failing, and going over the super rough path over the weird mountains to Kamine Park, finding the forestry road to exit. Oh, and the other thing I didn't mention, on the way out, as I was going back to the station, it's really close to Musashi Itsukaishi Station. It's this, I wonder, maybe I have the name here, because a business card came in it. It was this like boutique sweet shop that was closed because it was Sunday evening. Okashiya Page. Okashiya And it's this little store that sells custom-made candies that has a very French aesthetic. And they had a vending machine out front that was like a custom vending machine that looked so cool. Just the whole machine was like custom designed, obviously, by this person. And it looked like inside was like a little diorama of like the Nutcracker. It just looked so cool. And everything was horrifyingly overpriced. I was gonna they had a thing that was just like some little miscellaneous cookies and stuff that was like $4. But I couldn't figure out if I could use my card. I probably could have used the credit card part of my debit card. I don't know. It took a lot of credit cards, but I just put in a $10 note, and then I could only buy the $10 item because I just assume there's no change. This machine just doesn't really make change. It definitely works more on credit cards because this is like boutique stuff. So I spent 1,000 yen on a little box of chocolates, which is, it's too much. But it came with like a custom bag with their design on it. And the cool little business card that I just have in my wallet for no reason, just because it's cool, came in this little red container. And it's these like little chocolates and a little plastic sword inside, all carefully wrapped. And you use the little plastic sword to skewer each chocolate to eat them. So, I mean, yeah, it was pricey. And I only bought it because I've just never seen a unique vending machine like that before. It was really cool. I think it's more intended as a gift, because it came with a little bag and everything. It would be a great thing to give to someone else. But even for me, once I eat those chocolates, I mean, I'm going to keep the little box it came in is like really cool. And I've got some like very obscure extra cords and stuff that I'll probably never use, like for my Pixel phone, since it doesn't have a headphone jack. I've got this stuff that it's like a USB to headphone jack adapter. I've got 2 of them just in case, but I never use it that way. In fact, the last time I tried it didn't even work, and even when it does work, it sounds kind of staticky. It's just shit. I guess you're just supposed to use Bluetooth, and now I have a Bluetooth headset that I got the other day, so I'm probably never going to use those cords. I have a feeling I might just ditch them somewhere, but for now, they're just floating around. It's a good excuse for me to keep the little box without it just being something I'm keeping for no reason. I'll just put my like cords that I'm never going to use in the box. And maybe that'll be a test. If I put something in my little special box that I got and it just stays in there for weeks and weeks or a month, then that's a good sign that maybe I can get rid of that thing. Maybe I don't need whatever's in there. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I still feel like that was a perfect day. I just loved it. Everything about yesterday's little adventure was so cool. So I really don't care that I didn't see the waterfall, because even the guy on YouTube where I saw what you're supposed to do, he still like literally was there for like 4 minutes, and he just posted at the bottom of the video like, all right, after a few minutes, time to keep going on. But yeah, you see the waterfall. Not a big deal. So it's weird. It's like it didn't detract from the day, but just as a separate thing, in a separate part of my brain, it just disturbed me that I could be so dumb, is all. But there's the good thing about that is like, that's like a little wake-up call of like, don't just presume you know what's going on when nothing about what you're presuming makes any fucking sense, you moron, If you look to your left and you look to your right, and at least one of those people is kind of a dumbass, and you never presume that that's you, that you might be the one, it makes you a double dumbass. Like, just presuming you know what's going on is like the worst. There's no better way to be dumb than to just assume you know better than the situation. So it's a nice wake-up call in that sense of like, hey dude, wake up. Wake up, stupid. Don't do that anymore. Don't walk up to a waterfall and then not go. I can't even think of an example better than this, of just a stupid guy doing a stupid thing that you could probably send 1,000 people on that little adventure I did yesterday, and not one other person would do that except me. It's just like, Jesus Christ. All right, I gotta go continue on, see if I can find this here castle, now that I've flagellated myself for a while. All right, well, here's kind of a cool, unexpected thing. So I don't know for sure. I guess I don't know much about Castle Ruins. I guess I saw some kind of ruins of a fortress or something in Fukuoka. It's pretty much right in the middle of downtown. But I don't really have a lot of experience with what castle ruins mean in Japan. I assume it's not the same as like, castles in Europe that are like, a Lego castle. So in this case, I think I saw what there is to see, quote unquote, I think it's more just grounds, unless this could be another case like the waterfall. Maybe there's a very obvious thing that I didn't see. But there was a couple of like lookout spots that there weren't very many other people up there, but at each of those spots, one group was at one group was at the other. So it's like, okay, this seems to be the places to go. You get to look out over the valley. And yeah, it was just kind of cool in general. And even if there is something, I don't know what it would be, but something that I missed, I really don't mind. Like even like with the waterfall, I don't really care. It's just that was such a pointed example. It's weird in a different way. But whenever I go see stuff, I just want to wander around, soak it in. It is like kind of moving through a space that I like better than seeing a specific thing. But I'm pretty sure I got the experience of the castle grounds. It was blocked off a lot. I've never really seen a place with so many trails blocked off, but that made it kind of easier in a way. It's like, all right, just follow the one path, and the rest it was like nature preserve type stuff, and like, don't come trampling through here, which I definitely can't blame them for, because like Montreal does that on Mount Royal a lot too. And I've heard like in Europe when those hiking poles got popular, which somebody bought me some for Christmas in Canada, and I used them in the winter, and they're very handy for snow and ice. But apparently if you use them in the non-winter climates, it just like tears up the ground. And just people are leaving garbage on Everest. When you go to the Antarctic, you got to pick up all your stuff with you, because just people will ruin everything really quickly. So I'm not surprised that a lot of that area is just like, hey, just don't walk here, please, because you're just gonna wreck it, so just don't. But then I came down the mountain, and this is just, it's not surprising, I guess. All this stuff is within walking distance of the Airbnb I'm staying at. It's really not weird that all this stuff connects, but it feels pretty surprising, because there was this one walk I did in 2019 that was kind of a little bit on my list of like, that was an interesting day. Maybe I should do that again, where I walked down along the river and just walked along some really narrow streets by some garages and stuff that were so narrow that there was really no room for a pedestrian on the streets at some points. But then I got to this area with baseball fields and stuff, and actually I'm back there now. Now I see there's soccer as well here. But I think you are supposed to kind of come here in a car. It's a little tricky to get here by foot. But then yet again, I had one of my famous foreigner sightings where I was like, wow, I sure am in the middle of nowhere. And I sat down to do some writing or something, and a white dude on a bicycle went by, and I'm like, okay, why do I continually think that it matters? That, there's white folk all over the place. And then there was this bridge, very distinctive bridge with orange, what's that part of the bridge called? Like the upper part, the crescents. There's like 4 crescents that go across the bridge, and they're orange. And I'm looking at them right now, so it's like, oh yeah, this is the place. This is absolutely the place. So I know that if I try to walk over that way, there's no way up to that bridge on foot, and then I'll be stuck on a really narrow road with no space at all for a person, where I'm really just getting in the way of these cars. And it's a pretty uncomfortable little journey back up to civilization. So I'm not going to go that way. But yeah, this is just some kind of area with sports fields, basically. But I distinctly remember when I was here before, looking across the street at these very steep mountains across the way, and just wondering what was up there. And I was like, I wonder if there's any way to get up that. It's like very sheer. But that always stuck in my mind of like, I like the mountainous nature of Japan in general. I just think it's so interesting. Just the layout of everything everywhere you go. The ups and downs just make everything more interesting. And out here in Akiruno, it's right at the foot of the mountain, so there's a lot more up and down than in central Tokyo. So anyway, I just came down from there. I just followed a path down the mountain away from the castle ruins and popped out here. It's like, holy crap. Again, not at all surprising. Of course, all these things connect, especially on foot. The distance I can travel in a day is actually pretty minor. All these places are very close to each other. But that's just so interesting that this one place that always kind of was one of my little weird walks that I took, that I would just kind of mentally remember, walk back through it in my mind while I was trapped at home during COVID. And that specifically, these very mountains that I'm looking at right now, where I just wondered, like, can you get up there? What's up there? Already I can't see the path I came down. I don't know where it went. It disappeared into the trees somewhere. But then up there is the castle ruins. Like, holy cool. I had no conception this would all connect together at all. In fact, this is a little strange because I'm on the wrong side of the river from where I thought this stuff was. But I guess when I did my little walk in 2019, apparently I crossed the river at some point and just didn't quite remember that part of the journey. So yeah, instead of forging forward, now I'm going to go back. So I'm basically also, and that's the other thing, that this was one of these walks I didn't think I would quite be able to squeeze in because I'm just not here for long enough, but I inadvertently did, so here we go. Man, too, and it went from so hot today, again, just oppressively hot, almost too hot, but now that the sun is dipping down, it's not quite 3 p.m. yet, but now that the sun is dipping down behind the mountain, not having direct sunlight makes all the difference. I guess it's a bit after 3, quarter after 3. I guess that's why it was so chilly yesterday, just because it was cloudy all day. Once I get back in direct sunlight today, it'll be warm again. But right now, I'm hidden behind the mountain. Now it's cold. So yeah, the fall in general, still awesome, very, very nice. But no middle ground. It's either hot or it's cold. But I think maybe this would have seemed a little more meaningful. Again, it's not meaningful. It's just some random places, but, meaningful to me. Oh, there's some guys playing baseball. But yeah, I think it would maybe have hit me a little harder of like, oh, that's the place. Cool, it all connected. Like, awesome. It's kismet. It's all meant to be. I think it might hit me a little more, except that I'm very exhausted today. I noticed it right when I woke up of like, well, I was blabbing to my mom the other day, and she used to live on a train line. Her and my dad, when they were going to university, lived on a train line that didn't, it was like similar to my situation. It was right next to the train line, but it didn't go as often, like the way there's trains all day here. In New Brunswick, there's no train tracks at all anymore. They've all been torn up for a couple of decades. But the trains would be less frequent, but way bigger. And she said sometimes the trains would do the shunting back and forth, like right outside the house. And I was like, oh, that sounds like awful. What a nightmare. But she said how you really do adapt, like eventually you just don't really notice or care that much anymore. And I was thinking like, yeah, maybe if I really had a long time here, because I'm only here for a week, It's not long enough. But there is no question that like the first day I woke up at 5:30 in the morning and was just awful. Then I woke up at 7:30. And today I woke up at 9:30, so I guess I am just getting more and more used to these trains. Man, I wonder if there's another way out of here, because like, I really am just going down this road where there is no room for a person. There's no fucking room at all. It's just for cars. This is so strange. This is so unusual in Japan for there to be no pedestrian space at all. And yet there's all these soccer fields and baseball fields and stuff. This just feels so North American of like, yeah, if you want to use the outdoor stuff, get in a car, dude, get in a car and drive there. It's very uncommon. Anyway, so technically I am sleeping in more, and I'm never a great sleeper to begin with, but I do think it's the trains that are extra fucking with me, because yeah, just right from the get-go today. Wait a second. Wasn't my plan to go to Hajima Station to fill up my Suica card? Maybe I should try to go back up through those castle ruins, because this fucking sucks. This is annoying as shit. There's just no room here on these roads. Fuck it. I'm getting out of here. Yeah, this magical memory, this fucking blows. This sucks. But anyway, I could tell right when I woke up that I don't know, I was like sending a text to one of my cousins, or she asked if I was in Japan yet, and I was like, oh yeah, here's my Instagram, go look at some pictures. And I hate touch typing with the thumb. It's not so bad if you peck with your fingers, but big fat thumbs, it's just so annoying. Whereas just like, you know when you hit the wrong key, and then you delete it, and you hit the wrong key again, and you delete it, and then you hit the same one again. It's like, for God's sake, thumb, what the fuck is wrong with you? Press the fucking thing, you know? And I just felt this like stab of just genuine anger. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm a cranky boy today. I can feel it. I just haven't slept properly. This is bad. And yeah, I've just been feeling that all throughout the day. Just the pressure in my head. Not the worst, certainly not as bad as the day I woke up at 5:30, you know, but just in general, the day is just like, ooh. And so I think this is a good example. Yeah, now that I'm back here, it's not like, oh wow, I'm back here, this place I didn't think I'd make it to. Instead, it's like, this is fucking annoying. What is this shit? Why is there nowhere to walk? Why is there no pedestrian access to this area? Get the hell out of here with that shit. So yeah, I do think, because I waffle a little bit about this Airbnb. It's like, I do love this neighborhood so much, and it's like, am I getting used to the trains? Would I ever book this again? But I just gotta, because I have this bad feeling I'm gonna convince myself it was okay. You know, whenever I come back to Japan sometime in the future, if this is still available, because again, it wasn't even a good deal. And it's right by the trains, and it's like, yeah, okay, it's in Akiruno, but I don't have to be right here. I could be, I'm sure there's other stuff. Hopefully when I listen back to this podcast, it'll convince me, don't do it. But the place itself, that's where I waffle, is the little unit is great. It's so good, this little teeny tiny Airbnb. And like this new extra thing, because it was so cold yesterday, where I got to experiment with the little air conditioner / heater machine. Not little, it's quite big. It's like this thing that's like 3 feet long that you mount on your wall that I think would not do the trick in like North America or something, where you have a great big house you got to warm up. But here, especially in this case, because it's such a small unit, and you can also close the sliding door where the washroom and shower are, and just focus on the bedroom, this one little thing can heat up the place very easily and presumably cool it in the summer. I've heard these things are expensive as fuck though. It's like $2,000 for one of these things. It's one of those horrible prices you have to pay when you move to Japan. Another nice bonus to the Airbnb life is that you just, you don't have to lay down this kind of cash for these things. They're just around. But once I got it going, it was a little tricky. Definitely had to look up some tutorials. just mess around with it for a bit and finally get it going. But what's kind of cool, and at first it was like blowing cold air, and I was like, this is really not helping. I'm already freezing to death. Please stop with the cold air. But once I got it going, it's pretty cool. So you can set it anywhere from 16 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees. There we go, I'm back on the trail, going back up to the castle ruins. So since 16 is the lowest, that's what I left it on during the night. And it just, would occasionally come on once in a while just to make sure the place didn't get ice cold. I guess technically this is the pedestrian entrance, right? You could just come all the way through the castle ruins, walk across the whole grounds and then down these stairs, and then you could go to the soccer fields and the baseball fields. And then leave back through. I guess if you're doing sports stuff, I guess you just have cars, right? Because you got to bring equipment and things. But it's just so strange that there's no other way out. In an odd little area. But yeah, the thing I did that was kind of fun with this heater dealie, because when it's been warm out, it's like, oh great, just take a shower and whatever. Don't need to worry too much about catching my death. Can use my patented method of just putting on my fluffy hoodie just to like a wearable towel, get some moisture off of me. But then when it's cold, it's like, oh geez. I was before I got this thing going, I was a little concerned. It's like, I don't even think I want to take a shower. It's very, very chilly in here. It'd be uncomfortable. But once I got this thing going, so 30 is the highest amount that it goes, but if you turn it to 30, it just turns off. I think it's like, that's like excessive, I feel like that's the machine's way of saying like, hey buddy, I don't know what the heck you think is going on, or what situation you're in where you think you need it to be 30 degrees, but you don't. It's Japan. It's not going to be that cold. You don't need 30 degrees. Whatever you're up to, quit it. And it just turns off. But you can set it to 29 degrees. And I wouldn't want to do that for a long period of time. I don't want to abuse this machine or possibly break it or anything. But I did turn it to 29 just before I got in the shower and let it go. So then when I got out of the shower, it's only running at this insane level for like 10 minutes. But I got out of the shower and just stood underneath this thing, and it's like a full body hair dryer kind of, or like those dryer machines in, you hold your hand under them in the washroom and it just dries your hand. It's like that, but it's enormous, and you just and it's just blasting out hot air, and it just dries your whole body. And it's like, this is fucking sweet. And I'm sure that's not what these are intended for. I'm sure if you run it at near its max capacity constantly or frequently, it's probably not good for the machine. So I've only done it the one time, and now that it's warm again, I think that was the window. But it's very fun. It's like, this is sweet. This is cool. This feels good. What an interesting experience. So yeah, the place itself, very nifty. Very cool little tiny unit. I like it a lot. But I gotta not tell myself that, oh yeah, that's fine though. So what if there's the trains? Because I'm definitely adapting to some degree to the trains, but times like now I'm kind of paying for it. It's probably the 1-2 punch also, because I really did force myself up and at 'em yesterday to make sure I would do the waterfall run without it getting dark. So I think the 2 days back to back, I'm just burning the candle at both ends and being rattled by trains. I'm certainly feeling it. I'm not at my chipper best. So maybe that's a good reason to stop yammering for the day. I did my adventure. I made it to the castle grounds. I rediscovered one of my old adventures and realized that it's fucking annoying as hell. It was kind of interesting to stumble upon that one time just by accident. Like, oh, what an odd spot I'm in. An odd sports field, no pedestrian zone. But now that I know what it is and how it works, I think I made the right choice by just bailing out. Because it's not a short walk to get out of there. It's like quite a lot of walking, no matter which direction you go, where not only is there no room for a person, so you're really in the way of all the vehicles, but since it's all farmland on either side, there's not even like a ditch to walk in or anything. It's bad. It's bad for walking. All right, I think that'll do it for this. Midway up the stairs, got some more climbing up to do. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next episode.